Welcome to my small world. It's become smaller. All my fancy materials are here too. Okay, cool. I think we're on. Hello from Vegas. Welcome back to Tea Practice. It's nice to see you guys. We're gonna take it easy today with some grandpa style brewing, bowl brewing. I'm gonna feel like a grandpa today. Just take it easy, you know? No offense to any grandpas out there, but, you know, we're gonna be practicing something a little bit more low-key, but I think that is honestly super useful if you're just on the go or you don't want to do a tea experiment. Even if today is a tea experiment, it's not going to be as involved because all we gotta do is just put some leaves into these bowls and call it a day. So yeah, I'm excited. Hi, Steven from across the room, and hi, TJ. How's it going? It was really nice talking to you earlier this morning. Anything that you tell me, I tell Steven. So I'm like, oh my god, Canadian people know about the United States that United States people don't know about. So it's pretty insane. Sometimes I feel that way about coffee people. They tend to bring in like a lot of knowledge that we don't necessarily like practice a lot. So then they know stuff that we don't know about, like the whole water stuff. And that's all my water formula stuff was inspired by the coffee community. So that's, anyway. Suman Chat's nice to see you. It's been a while. D Kurtz 19, Silva 9918. How's it going? We got our bowls ready today to talk about bowl brewing. My friend Eric from Tea Sleuth says that one of our Chinese friends call it Dawan Cha, which means big bowl tea, because da means big and wan means bowl. So I never knew that. So now there's a lot of different ways we can call this style of brewing. So we call it da wan cha, we can call it grandpa style, we can call it bowl brewing. It's basically you just put some leaves into a container and you're drinking directly from that container when you're actually tasting tea. So it seems really intuitive, it seems really straightforward, but I actually only started bowl brewing maybe about 3-4 years ago. So pretty recently compared to, say, my Gaiwan. I've been using my Gaiwan for ages and ages. So today we're going to talk about how we can bowl brew. For those of you who already bowl brew, we'll test different materials to see if there's a better material to use for bowl brewing. And then we'll take questions if anyone's interested in that. Okay, cool. Hello from Tekarote, Camellia's Treaty, and Apathea. Good afternoon from Vegas. In my smaller world. I mean, I was on Instagram the last couple of times too, but I'm used to the YouTube screen now. So I'm like, wow, I'm tiny again. It's okay. It's nice and compact. Yeah. YouTube's quality wasn't as good. And I think it's obvious because I can see the pores in my face through Instagram again. I hope you guys can't. But that's okay. We haven't picked a tea to brew today yet, so I'm curious. I wanted to ask if anyone already bowl brews grandpa styles, dawan chas. If you guys already bowl brew, yes or no. And then what kind of tea you think you'd like to test out today. And if there's a particular bowl or material you'd like for us to test out specifically, let me know. We will be picking maybe like 4 of them to do the same tea with, just to see how they perform with the bowl brew method. Neil is a base. How's it going? Welcome from Las Vegas. Nice to see you. I'm glad you guys are showing up for tea practice like all the friggin' time. We usually have a weekly tea practice here in Vegas that we host at the local tea shop, but we can't because social distancing. And even if I'm the host of that tea club, I tend to sort of get lazy to go if we want to play StarCraft instead or stay home and cook and watch Hell's Kitchen. But tea practice is important. Feel like a lot of people on the outside and are like, oh, it's so nice, you have a nice hobby, tea is so wonderful. I'm like, it's not a hobby. It's my life. It's, you know. Anyway, it's real, you know what I mean? Okay, so if you guys don't have any suggestions for this, I will defer to what Steven suggests to me, and I don't like listening to what Steven wants, so I'm gonna give it a couple more to see if we change our minds. Anyone? Tests? Steven, you got a thing in mind? Oh, that's another shy person I'm asking. So.
Let me see.
And in the meantime, I'm gonna preheat my bowls.
I'm gonna start digging.
Yeah, so I'm gonna use a cup. I'm going to use, well, it's a mug. I'm going to pick one of these wood fire bowls. I'll probably use this one here. And then we'll use a glass bowl to follow up after all the glass shenanigans. You know, I've been hating on glass a little bit, so I want to see if this bowl does well. I have never tested it for bowl brewing, but we'll see. And then we'll use a wine glass, and then we'll use a tall glass. How's that? Sounds good? We'll see if these guys perform well bowl brewed. If any of these bowls you want it in instead, speak now or forever hold your peace. That's what we'll start with. Eric from Win Wade, how's it going? See, another friend of ours who can't tea practice right now here in Vegas because we're so distant. Enrique, how's it going? Thanks for calling me simple, dude. Gakko82, Jen from Tea Leaves and Tweed. I was actually thinking about which wine glass to bring upstairs because I wanted to pick one that was fancy, and I was about to pick like a kind of like janky looking one. I'm like, Jen would have more taste than that, so I actually picked a better one. I'm glad that I didn't pick the janky looking one. And then Proud Trans Girl, how's it going? From Las Vegas.
Well, you ask again because a bunch of people did.
Yeah, we were about to figure out which type of tea you'd like to test out, bowl brewed style. Again, the point here is if you haven't bowl brewed before, I'd like to show you how to do it and how freaking easy it is. I don't do experiments all day. I'm not sitting all the time, like, with my fancy stuff all the time. Most of the time, we actually are just bowl brewing. So I bring a mug with me if I need to walk around a lot. So no one just bumps into me and I drop one of these guys. I'm gonna lose my mind. I might murder a child. Even if it's... children do that, right? I use a mug sometimes. I use bowls at home. I've never used this glass bowl for bowl brewing, so I'd like to test it out today. Then my friend Shiloh from Nuevo Orden likes to use wine glasses. I've seen Exotique use it as well. He's from Indonesia. He always has the fancy wine glasses. Although he looks always so pensive, like looking out. Do I look just as good as he does? I don't think so. I think it suits him really well. And then we'll use just a regular tall glass. And why I've chosen these is because, number one, I think they're the most common things you'll find around the house. Like, I wanted to keep it simple. If you don't have a tea bowl, you can use a glass. And I think one of the first companies that popularized grandpa style brewing was Verdant Tea, and Verdant Tea talked about grandpa style brewing in a tall glass for Dragonwell. So that was my first kind of experience with grandpa style brewing. I didn't really like it though because the glass gets really hot. I never really enjoyed it, and I only got back into it after I started using tea bowls. But we can test it out today to see. It might be different. It could also depend on like the shape of your glass and stuff like that. Shiloh from Nuevo Orden has just popped in. We were just talking about wine glasses and how you like to use them. And I've never bowl brewed in a wine glass before. I would like to see if it's possible. I was always scared because I was worried that the glass might shatter from the hot water. Seems like so far I haven't shattered any wine glasses. Shiloh told us that, it's relatively safe. A lot of these glasses are heat tempered and it takes a lot of excessive heat and issues for a glass to shatter from boiling water, which in the ceramics world is a pretty low temperature, So I think it's going to be okay. If it shatters on stream today, I'm going to scream and probably say bad things and then be mad at Shiloh. So everyone go get him if it happens, but I don't think anything will happen. Welcome to the stream as well, Conrad Production, Runak.pe, 702 Nelly, and Hivinka. All right.
It Is this what I think it is?
I don't know what that is, dude.
Oh.
What is that? Is that... I think that's Elon 2002.
Yeah.
Or that's Elon 2002. Steven's just digging. You want to use Elon 2002?
Nah.
For this? Oh my god, like, Steven's looking for stuff to test Bold Brew. He's, like, picking some really expensive teas.
What's this?
That's Rolled Oriental Beauty.
You want it?
I don't know it that well.
Okay.
We're always gonna do that. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, let's do a sencha.
Is this elephant?
I don't know. It's hard because like my tea collection is sorted by category, but I know when I hold it and pick it up by myself. That might be Alishan. You don't want to brew Alishan, right? That's Alishan from my teacher. That's some like good stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, we'll do it. Come on. You're the one who brought it out, dude. Gosh. Okay. Shiloh, haven't tried Grandpa style using a wine glass though. Let's try it out today. This is Alishan. I don't know when it's from. I think it's a 2014 from my teacher Ai in Taiwan. The last couple years, Alishan hasn't been really good for them, and even last year, Alishan was so rainy. And so, yeah, it was rainy, like really, really rainy. After like a dry winter, they had a lot of rain. So usually you don't want rain during the processing season. You want rain in the beginning for the plants to like grow and be happy, but not too much. And then during oolong processing season, you want it to not be rainy because you need the sun. I'm sure you guys have seen all these beautiful pictures of tea workers kind of like laying out the leaves so that they can wither under the sun. You need that for oolong, ideally. And no, stop it. He's like bringing out some like fancy stuff. We're just trying to experiment. Anyway, yeah, last year was not good. The rain was too much and my teacher wasn't able to process tea. So they don't own a farm up there, but they have partners up there that they make tea with. So Taiwan's got a lot of different kinds of like models. Some people own the farm and they make the tea. Some people don't own a farm, but they go up there and make tea and then they get paid. Or they buy the leaves and then they take it away. Lots of different things. So just keep that in mind when you buy your tea. There's a lot of different factors that are going into that. And that's why I was like, oh my god, Alishan, I don't want to use Alishan. I don't have very much of it compared to the other Taiwanese oolongs from them.
Do you want jade now?
No, we're good. Let's get going. Let's get going.
Okay.
Okay. So first things first, we have chosen a tea that I know pretty well. That's why I had to go through all that rejection. I use a tea I know pretty well, and that is not extremely expensive. This is not cheap, but it's okay. I know it pretty well. So this is Alishan. And today we are not going to weigh the leaves because I want us to model what it's like to bold brew, which is you don't want to weigh your leaves. Like, what's the point of kind of doing a more simple approach to brewing tea if you are going to bring your scale with you? You know, it's a little bit extra. I think we should just... Sometimes I don't even preheat, but today I will preheat. Even if I'm like at the library or something, I will use like a hot water dispenser or hot water that I bring myself to preheat. Just because I really like that initial smell of the prime tea leaves. But you don't have to preheat when you bold brew. It's up to you. The point is to make it as convenient as possible and also pick the right tea so that it's more of a match with the bold brewing method, because you can't do this with every tea. This is the kicker. You can do it with almost any container. I would say you could use a glass, you could use a wine glass, you could use a mug. It doesn't have to be fancy. You can use a paper cup. I've walked around a paper cup, so if you all think I'm a snob, I've walked around a paper cup before. You know, tea is tea. So the kicker here is you need to have a tea that's good quality, because like we've done before, the better the quality of the tea, the better it performs under not so ideal circumstances. So think about the tea that you have that you're like, oh, I gotta bust up my gaiwan, I gotta measure it, I gotta drop the water temperature, and then I gotta pour it out really quick because it's really sensitive. You're probably not gonna want to use that tea bowl brew because it's gonna suffer a little bit. Sometimes you leave your bowl brew for an hour at a time, 2 hours, 3 hours, so it's gonna be extracting that whole time. So the most important thing is to pick a tea that you know can handle pretty well the more kind of prolonged, not so babying kind of brewing style, okay? Let's see, Shiloh dropping some knowledge as usual. It takes a sustained average temperature of over 212 degrees Fahrenheit or 100 degrees Celsius, Celsius team, for glass to crack. Glass breathes and cools hot liquids very quickly. By the time the tea hits the glass, it immediately cools below boiling point and only continues to reduce in temperature. Good. So that's when he said that, I was like, oh, that makes sense that glass isn't gonna, you know, crack. I've always been worried about doing that, and it seems like they're okay. So, yeah. And the idea of glass versus different materials is that, as we've seen in our previous experiments, different materials, different thicknesses of the materials, even different shapes will change the way the tea cools down in the cup and how it tastes. And then from our cup experiment, the lip of what you're using will change the experience you get in the cup. And the more simple the preparation, the more you gotta think about these small details because they'll really build up to a result. So I'm very picky about the bowl that I use to bowl brew if I have the time of day to pick one. Like I honestly don't really like the shape of this. It's not very ergonomic, and I feel like it's gonna burn my hands later. We'll see. And then as much as I love our wood fire bowls, I don't want to be walking around with this when I'm like in public. What if again some kid bumps into me because he's having a good time, right? I mean, kids do that, and then I break my bowl, and then it's all over the floor, and then the kid will also be all over the floor if I have anything to say about it. So pick the right bowl for the right purpose, you know? And Jen from Tea Leaves and Tweed says, or when I put a frozen jar in the sink under hot tap water. Is that okay? I think it's okay, right? I don't know. And then Jen is saying I brewed in glassware pretty often. See, that's the thing. I brew in glassware too, but for some reason when it comes to these home materials, suddenly it gets a little bit more scary. But they're just glass, so it's okay. I think we should be alright. Hello from Vegas, Martin from Read 80 Degrees Magazine in Celsius as usual. We kept talking about the Celsius thing for long after you left yesterday. And Nick, another Vegas friend, how's it going? We've got these guys kind of like preheated now. I'm kind of starting to see how they're going to handle. This will be pretty easy. I like the wine glass. I'm already seeing that you'll be able to maintain the temperature a little bit more up here because you can hold it here. But if you're holding a glass like this, you're going to drop, or I don't know, just affect the temperature a little bit. Usually the wine glass stem helps wine folks prevent a cold glass from becoming warm. I don't know what the benefit is of having it with an already warm liquid, but I guess that means you don't gotta hold it and burn your hands, but then you might burn your lips. We'll see. I don't know, which is why we're testing it out. And then we will use this Alishan. Like I said, it's an oolong that I know does really well bowl brewed because it's a very good oolong. And to reiterate, you need to pick a tea that you know can handle a relatively hard brewing style. If you know your tea's a baby, like I don't think Gyokuro is the time to bowl brew. There are some senchas that can bowl brew, I've seen. You might not think so. Okay? So for those of you who don't bowl brew, don't use too much leaf. So the biggest problem I see with people who bowl brew for the first time is they use a lot of leaf. And usually I don't use the word problem or mistake. But if you have 10 grams of leaf in a bowl and you're gonna be drowning in leaves. So use a little bit less. So like even that much, it doesn't look like very much, but that's enough for me, to be honest. Remember that when you're bowl brewing, you will be reinfusing these leaves again. So leaves will go in, and then you'll put hot water in them, you'll drink them, and then as you need more tea, you're going to be putting more water in. So imagine that they're going to be doing a lot of work. Okay? So not too much. Not too much. If you want to have like a mouthful of leaves or a really, really strong grandpa style or bowl brew tea, go ahead and use a lot of leaves, but I really don't use as much. Sometimes I'll use just like a couple oolong balls, and that's it. Okay, so not very much, okay? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like less than 10 little pieces of Alishan for all of these. Yeah. And then, nothing fancy here. Ooh, I wanna do my favorite thing, which is to smell. Glass doesn't smell like anything. It makes me so upset. See, that smells better. Mmm. Nice. Ooh, getting excited. That doesn't smell like much either. It's interesting because it's a flat bowl. You can't really smell it. I wonder if this will help with the smell. You can't smell anything with glass. I find that glass just mutes aroma a lot, but we'll see how it actually tastes like. And then Jen, I saw you say I love tea in a Glencairn? How do you say that? Glencairn glass? My friend Eric, who's tea sleuth in this chat, was asking earlier about like high quality glasses from Europe because, you know, we've been doing a lot of these experiments a lot, and I've been trash talking glass a lot, but I really think it might be because I don't have good quality glass, or maybe there's a sort of glass that's just better for tea that's not as popular because, you know, glass isn't a material that was developed for tea. I'm not a historian, but it seems like everyone back then was using porcelain or bone china or whatever. So, I don't know. Oh, I forgot something. I want to brew in the clay cup. Is that okay with you guys? So let me add that onto this. Okay, so I'm not filling these up too much, just because I want it to be able to cool down. Let me get my clay cup. I wanted to test a raw clay cup. I know some of you guys have raw clay mugs, which is really interesting. So yeah, let's try this as well. It's a tiny one, but you can bowl brew in a small cup. It's not a big deal. And then I'm saying hi to Kelly RM and James from Single Origin Tea and Chris from Chris JM. Hi. We're just bowl brewing, grandpa styling this tea. Oh, and then after this, don't forget that Discord friends, we're gonna hang out on Discord for more tea practice, so that I don't gotta listen to myself for 2 hours. Of course, I love talking to you guys, but I just find that I learn more if I can trade notes a little bit more. And those of you who comment on YouTube, for sure, like you guys help me a lot and point things out and are able to contribute a lot to the discussion. So I just want to extend that even further past the 2 hours. So yeah, please join us afterwards. I'm always so bad at promoting stuff that I want to. I'm just like, just do it. Can I just do it? Yeah. If you want to do it, you can do it. If you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it. But you should want to do it. Jen, Glencairn is Scotch whiskey glass. It's tulip shaped.
I think it's Glencairn.
Glencairn?
I don't know.
You're not Scottish. You're Irish. Glencairn sounds like it sounds better than Glencairn. Glencairn? A cairn. Yeah, and then the tulip shape's probably pretty good too, because the tulip shape will help kind of collect aroma, and then having it be actually used for like high quality liquor, I think, is better. So yeah, I mean, I think these supermarket glasses are not designed for that. So we got these guys going and brewing. Probably the biggest disadvantage when you're bowl brewing is you gotta wait for these babes to infuse. So if you're in the mood for like, I just want to chug some tea, this is not the method for you. But if you're like me, and I'm often at my laptop, and I'm like, I want to make tea while I work, it sounds wonderful, quarantine tea, working from home, you know, I get to have my tea set up, but I do that and then I forget about my tea. The bowl brewing is perfect for you, because you'll probably put on your kettle, and then you'll forget about the kettle, and it's going to be around like 170 degrees Fahrenheit, 80 degrees Celsius or less. Trying. And then you'll forget about it, but then you can use that lukewarm water to make some bowl brew. And then by the time you finish your article or email or your social media rounds, you'll come back to your bowl brew tea and it's going to be cold. And then you can just add some more hot water. So it's very kind of, it can play around a lot with your own rhythms and patterns. And I like to do tea and focus with it, but I also like to have tea on the side when I'm working. And this allows you to do that. If you don't want to wait for this, I've seen some people add cold water at this stage of the brewing process to cool down the temperature so it's drinkable. But I don't know how that's going to work. I don't know if it's going to affect the flavor. It's going to shock the tea. Tendencies are, I just feel like the less, you know, weird kind of shocking things you can do to the tea, the better. The more consistency, the better. I learned that with our lid off, lid on experiments, where I used to put the lid off of my gaiwan or teapot in between infusions, but now, after testing it, it seems like leaving the lid on might be better. So I'm thinking like maybe it might just follow a pattern that tea tends to like it when it's brewed consistently. So if you have the lid on, it has a consistent temperature and stuff like that. And then we tested it also beside a bowl brewed cup. So it never had a lid. And the best performing were the no lid at all ever and the lid on. So you'd think the one with no lid was like, oh, it cools down, it's not good. But it actually did better than the teapots or sessions where we kind of put the lid on, lid off, you did like extra stuff to it. It just likes consistency. So that's interesting and new to me, and it seems like there might be a pattern for tea preparation like that. Tea seems to like consistency in the brewing. Not always, but often. We'll see. Rob Tensi and T. Zelson, friend, and Jessica HBKD, how's it going from Las Vegas? And then my sister, Charmaine, from down the road. How's it going? We're getting fancy with some well-brewing tea glasses. Is your grandpa this fancy? Grandpa-style brewing. For those of you who are just joining us, it's a style of brewing that is basically brewing the tea in the vessel that you're trying to drink from. So instead of pouring it out into something else, you're just going to brew directly in what you want to drink from and then sip directly. Most important thing, yes, you have to pick the right vessel, but the tea has got to steep. So imagine if you have your really sensitive gyokuro in a cup like this, it's going to oversteep before you're able to drink it. So you don't want to use a super sensitive, super finicky tea for these. Pick something that's solid. A lot of black teas do well like this, especially from China, like Chinese style black teas. White teas tend to do well like this too. I think like Old Tree Pu'er can handle this. Really, really high-end sencha can handle this. We'll see. So, yeah. Let's test this. I want to see if they're ready to drink already. They're opening at different rates, which is interesting. And I think it just might be the different kinds of leaves I'm pouring in. Yeah, they're not opening at the similar rates. I wonder why that is. I don't know. But I'm not going to care right now because it's supposed to be simple today. Alright. Some aromas finally coming out. So we'll label these do the glasses first. We'll do 1, 2, 3. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Does that look okay? Yeah, it looks good to me. 1, 2, 3, 4. And 1 through 4 are glasses. Then we'll go ceramic mug, 5, wood fire bowl, 6, and then raw Ishin clay, 7. Yeah. So we'll start with glass first. See, I can be non-biased towards glass. So we're going to see how, what are we looking for here? We're going to see how convenient it is to bowl brew in the material, the taste, what I mean by convenience is it going to burn your hands or mouth when you're trying to do this? And yeah, I think that's all we're going to do. We might test maybe heat retention using our IR gun, our temperature gun, to see if the temperature is maintained pretty well by the material. So we'll see. That's really pleasant. Wow. Okay, so first one here is just a regular, I think this is an IKEA cup. It looks very nice for IKEA. And visually, I like this better than this one because this one has kind of like the bluish tints that I don't like as much. And it's kind of got the grooves that take away from the look of the tea. This one's just pure clear glass, and you can really see the leaves infusing. So if you're at work, this is probably going to make you look really classy or weird, because I've seen people be like, ew, is that leaves? That's disgusting. Depending. So the tea has actually cooled down quite well, surprisingly. That's the benefit of glass, is that it tends to cool things down pretty well. So while that's seen as like a not so good thing when you're brewing tea in like a gaiwan, people will say, oh, don't get a glass gaiwan or a glass teapot because it cools down too quickly. In this case, with the bowl brewing style, it's actually good because you can drink your tea pretty fast. It's actually, I'm not struggling at all with the temperature of it. Yeah, very sweet. The flavor is there. I would like a little bit more like boldness to it. I feel like the glass is muting it a bit, but we'll go through all the glass first and see how it does in the ceramic. I'll try to go through these pretty quickly so that it's not going to be too much of a long difference between the brewing of all of these. Wow. Holy crap. Steven, I want you to try these. The IR temperature gun will not work that well. Oh my god, I put hair in my tea. So this guy, we can't use using the glass very well because it doesn't read translucent things. But we can test the sides of the non-glass ceramics. So we'll try this later. But these two are very different in taste. Like really different. Wow, that's very different. Steven, my guinea pig, try. Here we go. So the second one is just a tall, kind of bluish tinted glass. Wow, that boy is just chugging. And then we'll go on to the wine glass as well. Welcome to the tea session, Freedom GB and Teapots. We're just checking out some Grand Class style brewing, or bowl brewing. It's more kind of a easygoing, convenient way to brew, but we're trying to figure out which materials are best so that you can just figure out which ones are good for you and kind of go with it. Gotta put the leaves in the teaware, brew it, and then just drink directly from the teaware. Or glass. Which one do you like better? Yes, okay, I agree. So I had Steven try these because I was really impressed by the difference in flavor. This one has a lot more flavor. Like a lot more flavor. I'm surprised by compared to this one. So this one has a bluish tint to it, and for some reason it's not as tasty. This one's more tasty, and this is from IKEA. So good job, IKEA. We tried doing a test on Discord group practice 2 last week where I tested IKEA glass versus my regular glasses, and the IKEA glass won in a blind test, which surprised me because IKEA, you know, isn't synonymous with quality for me. It's IKEA, it's supposed to be mass-produced, but their glass outperformed Chinese glass in a blind tasting. So I tested an IKEA kind of like pot, a glass pot versus a Chinese glass pitcher, and the IKEA glass was better. So that's another point for them right there. Not my first time seeing that their materials are good too. Their bowls seem to bowl brew well too, their ceramic bowls. Whatever they're doing something right, and I'm surprised. That's why we test this. Oh, that's odd. So this one, the wine glass kind of tastes dusty. That's not good. It tastes dusty, a little bit musty. Dusty, musty. It's not very trusty. Here, Steven, try it. It's a little bit muddled. I'm surprised that that's not very good. That's not a super fancy wine glass. But it's kind of weird. Right, Steven? Kind of weird to me. Ethel Ritzy, welcome to the bowl brewing tea practice. We're trying to figure out which material is the best, and this is not my favorite. Steven, did you get a weird taste from that too?
It was quite different.
Yeah, I got a weird taste from these two. So far, this is the only glass one. So even between glasses, you could get a different response. That's not to say they don't taste all like tea. It's not like this one tastes like tea, this one tastes like piss. But the thing is, just do this one test at the very beginning of your tea journey, or when you start bowl brewing, figure out what works well, and then just never think about it again if you don't want to. I'm not trying to overcomplicate bowl brewing, but, you know, if you're going to be keeping it simple, you need to start with a good foundation, right? And then Shiloh says, just realize that leaving the tea vessel lid a bit ajar would unevenly release and concentrate heat. The leaves won't open evenly in theory. Yes, I never thought about that, but in our lid on, lid off comparisons, we found that there was an issue with leaving the lid off. Now, the reason why usually we have the lid on and off is there's a theory that if you leave the lid cracked or off, it will allow the leaves to breathe a little bit in between infusions. And I read that a long time ago, like 8 years ago somewhere. I don't even remember where. And then I just ran with it, and then so be it. And then ever since then, I've just learned not to take, like, stuff that's written online at face value, even if it's by someone you really trust. You need to test it yourself. So even with me sharing what we're experiencing here now too, you might have the same glass but have a different effect or experience with them. So you really need to test it yourself. Because it doesn't matter what I think about how this glass tastes or what Steven over there thinks about what this glass tastes. It depends on you and what your parameters are, what your water's like, what your tea is like, and also what your taste is like. So test. And that's what we're doing right now. And then Martin from Reed80, he says his stream keeps failing. Is it because you're so far away? All the way in Portugal? I hope that the stream's okay, because we hopped over to Instagram to hopefully reduce the latency. So let us know if any of y'all are also having issues staying connected. Trekking Buddha, how's it going? Hello from the other side of these fancy glasses. We're just testing bowl brew. So, something about the shape of this glass. I do like the shape of bowls because they kind of obligate you to have two hands, and it's just very cozy feeling. That's not bad tasting, actually. I like the taste of that. Let's compare this to this. Oh, interesting. Okay, actually, out of all of them, I think I like this bowl the best. These two are pretty close, and then these two are just, I don't want to bowl brew in them anymore. This one was muddy, kind of musty, not that clear. This one was very empty, but these two brought out some of the complexity in the tea that I like. We can continue to test this by kind of topping them up. And this is how the bowl brew magic happens, is you just top up your tea with however much water you want. So I want more of that. I don't want more of that. I don't want more of that. I want more of this. And it's a brewing method that's very adjustable to what you need at the moment. Because if you don't want so much tea, you don't have to pour in new tea. If you want it to be warmer because it became cold, just pour in more hot water. If you want it to stay cool, don't pour as much hot water, or pour in lukewarm water to just kind of give you some more liquid to work with. It's very intuitive and really easy to do, really simple, as long as you pick a really good tea to use it with. If you guys have any questions so far, let me know. We're going to go on to the ceramics. Is glass a ceramic? Can we just call these ceramics? I don't know if glass is a ceramic. I feel like it might be. Ceramic stupid. I'm trying my best. And hi to Benjamin. I haven't seen you in a bit. How's it going? Hope all is well. Just trying some bowl brews. Right now we're trying the ceramic mug from Mikasa. Mikasa is a really famous company. I didn't know this was a Mikasa mug. I like to bring this with me when I'm teaching. So I guest teach for the local school district when the tea world is crashing and burning. Usually it's good because I can make income when our tea stuff isn't doing well. But right now the schools are closed, so that's why it's home with me now. And that's why I bring it to school, because if a kid bumps into me, I don't gotta bump into the kid, right? I can hold on to the mug. And it's bone china. And bone china... What is bone china again? I think it has a percentage of animal bone in the glaze that changes the flavor and the look of the china. That's what I thought.
Shiloh.
Shiloh! Should just have a little Shiloh flag. Can we make one of those? Shiloh Smev Orden, who's in chat, and if you're not following him already, I highly recommend following him. He's a ceramicist, tea practitioner, tea amazing, just amazing guy who is always answering my questions here on stream and also out of stream. He's traveled to Yunnan for ceramics and for tea, and also makes his own ceramics. So if you met a tea guy who's into tea, that's your guy. That's why I always ask him. So his answer is, glass is technically a purified ceramic. Porcelain turns to glass at higher temperatures. Okay. If you've ever seen lightning hit a beach, the sand turns to glass. I have never seen lightning hit a beach, but I'd like to now. Clay and earth materials will turn to glass at extremely high temperature. Okay. I had no idea. So is this clay that's been high? I feel like I'm doing really stupid things by saying this. How do they make this glass then? I thought that things like silica can become glass when heated. Silica is a form of earth too. Man, ceramics is complicated. That's why I like having Shiloh and our ceramics friends surrounding us. Because as tea people, we rely a lot on the performance of our ceramics. A lot. I will say we rely on the performance of ceramics more than we think we do. We talk a lot about tea quality and brewing styles, but I feel like a lot of people don't know that your cup or your bowl can change a lot about the taste of your tea. We've gotten a little bit of progress now talking about Yixing pots. Like, Yixing pots can season and change the flavor of your tea, but then I find those same people who are like, oh, Yixing pots will change tea, not care about the cup they're using. That includes me, because again, I didn't know about this until my tea teacher, years back was like, hey, do a side-by-side. And I'm like, no, it's glazed, with the eyebrows, right? It's glazed. Glazed is glazed, right? Glazed is glazed. Everything you put in glazed materials is neutral. Glazed materials are neutral. Since figured out that it's not true, different materials will make tea taste different. And yes, I think the most important thing is the quality of your tea and your ability to brew it. But if you're investing any sort of time into learning about tea quality, I highly recommend dipping just a tiny bit into testing ceramics. We can't make tea without stuff to put it in, you know? So water, tea, ceramics. Starting with tea. Tea, I'd say water and then ceramics. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, thank you, Shiloh. We're gonna make a little Shiloh flag for whenever we need to ask you a question. Yeah. Hi to Brutus K. Lopez and Carol VMX and Tyus. How's it going? It's been a while. I was just thinking about you and the coming spring season and the fact that we don't have very much to buy spring teas with, but we really would like to get some Japanese greens for the spring. So we're kind of like buckling in and thinking about what teas we can afford this spring. And, you know, I'm not going to buy any sencha I don't like. So yeah, you were on my mind today. So, and then before we get going, let me answer Benjamin's question. How hot in degrees Celsius? We've been practicing this. Is the water you're brewing with? We started with around 93 degrees Celsius.
Yeah, but it sits off the heat for a while.
Yeah, so maybe like 90 to 93 degrees Celsius. And then here, the second top up, I just topped it up with, it's probably around 70 degrees Celsius now. Just to show you that you can top up water without having to get fresh water every single time. I will rebrew it though. But when I start gold brewing, I tend to like to use around 93 degrees Celsius, 200 degrees Fahrenheit or higher, just to start with. It'll cool down. But yeah, this is pretty good. It's not as good as I thought. It's still like a relatively mass-produced, I would say, porcelain. It's not a super high-quality porcelain, in my opinion. It's a Mikasa cup. Yeah, I've seen some porcelain that seems to do better with bowl brew teas or grandpa style than this. It's not bad though. I would say it's on par with these. And usually in these comparisons, the porcelain, especially good quality porcelain, will just outperform the glass, but in this case, they're about even, I would say. Yeah, and then the ceramic, I mean the porcelain does have some more depth to it. Just a little bit maybe more muddled, a little bit more, not as crisp. This one is not as thick on the texture, but it's more crisp. So if you care a lot about texture, especially test your glass, because sometimes glass can make things taste kind of thin. And then Shiloh dropped in some more knowledge. Bone china and porcelain. So bone china porcelain does include bone in the recipe. It produces cleaner taste and higher breathability for tea. Based on my experience, and Exotique who uses fish bone china. We can get specific about the bone we use. Oh my god. So fish bone china for tea and enjoys the effects. The type of animal bone affects the density of the china produced. Oh my god, I'm dying here. You can get very geeky materially when it comes to bone china, its effect on tea. It's highly variable. I am so upset. That's so upsetting and also really exciting because then you can, yeah. I imagine this bone china is not very, they just, I don't know, took some goat from the neighbor's house and went with that, you know? I bet Exotique, who's very fancy, probably like uses sturgeon bones or something for his bone china, right? Sturgeon bones, or what's that really ancient fish that they still have in Africa? It's called a coelacanth, I think. Coelacanth bones for your bone china. And I have noticed this, that some bone china is extremely reactive and makes tea taste amazing. So my favorite gaiwan is a bone china gaiwan. I'm not sure what kind of bone, but I think it's from Jingdezhen, and it's just incredible with tea. Just incredible. I will go out of my way to use that gaiwan instead of my other porcelain ones because it's just really, really, really good. So that makes sense. Okay, let's keep going. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is number 6 now. Steven's like, of course the wood fire bowl is going to be good. This is very smooth and very sweet. Yeah, it's just... So while all of these were tasting okay, and the flavor depth is about the same, the length, the depth, it just got that extra. This is so elegant. It just keeps going. So whereas with the quote unquote cheaper, or glass is not cheap, with the other materials, there's flavor and texture and crispness. This is the only one so far that I feel like it has a lot of length. And when you have good tea, we all know, you're looking for aftertaste. You're looking for depth, looking for length. And with these, maybe the length is like this. You taste it, and that's it. With this one, it goes, and it's super sweet, super smooth. Yeah, this is really good. And this is a wood-fired bowl from Taiwan. I think that some of the glaze has been painted on for this one, so it's been wood-fired with some painted on glaze. So some wood-fired pots don't have paint on them. You can kind of see the difference between this guy and this guy. So this tastes different too. Sorry to, surprise you. But yeah, this one's really, really good as well.
I think Mark Foster said it was like a half slip or something like that.
I forgot. Yeah, maybe Shiloh can tell us. He says he uses high-end fishbone china. I have to check my notes. I'm going to ask him and make fun of him because that guy's really fancy. He has really good ceramics, that's for sure. We're talking about Exotique. He's EXOTEAQUE. I highly recommend following him as well. He has a very distinctive tea practice, has really nice ceramics, has really nice tea, really nice setup. That's tea inspo for sure. Inyang C or Inyang CE, Marabella, Jenny, how's it going? Cast.lem and Red Herring Pottery. Hello from Las Vegas. We are on the 6th test of bowl brewing methods. Not so much methods. Bowl brewing, you just put the tea in the bowl, put water, wait for it to cool down, and then you drink it. You know what I mean? We're testing materials here because as simple as bowl brewing is, we kind of want to see what we should use to just set it and forget it, right? And so far, this one, number 6, the Taiwanese wood fire bowl, which is the nicest out of all of these materials. It's handmade. It's from a specific studio. One guy, right? Like, it's got some intent put into it. And yeah, it's the only one with so much just length and depth and sweetness. That's just a class up, that's for sure. Yeah, here you go. Steven and the sticky hands. Last one. This one is a zhisha clay. This is similar to what a lot of you guys have in your yixing pots. So yixing teapots tend to have a lot of different clays that you find in them. I've seen like purple clay, there's red clay, there's yellow clay. And then it depends on the pot or two what blend of clay you're using. This one, I don't think it has a specific studio that I know about. It's just a pretty like run-of-the-mill purple clay, zhisha clay. That's weird. So that's got a lot of flavor, but that's the only one with a kind of like strange kind of constricting throat feeling here. It's like drying. You know when you drink something that's fizzy or something that's not, a tea that's not as pleasant, it's kind of rough on the palate. This one is not, yeah, it's doing that thing where like your throat kind of like seizes and it's kind of drying and not very refreshing. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. The flavor is very, very good. A lot of depth, a lot of texture, a lot of, the aroma's there, everything is there, but it's that finish that's not pleasant. And that just kills it for me. No thanks. Steven, try this. Then you'll notice that in every single situation, we haven't finished the tea all the way down. And with bowl brewing, to kind of preserve the life of your leaves, I recommend that you don't sip all the way down to where the leaves are dried up. You want to kind of leave like this. Vert tea calls it a root. I like that terminology. It's called a root. Ooh, okay. It's water that covers the leaves so that it keeps them wet. So that when you pour water back in, the tea is already all primed. The problem is if you drink it all the way down like this, you got your leaves that are going to start to dry out. They're exposed to the air. They're kind of like, they're like chilling. Like they're having like a nice like warm water bath in there inside the bowl. And then when you drink it down like that, they're like, what's going on? You're exposing them to air again. It's just less consistent. We were talking about consistency, right? So when you keep it down there, you just add water. They're still in the same environment. The leaves will keep soft. They won't start oxidizing in the open air. They won't start drying out. Here in Vegas, if we leave our leaves out, they start drying. Like I promise. If I leave this and then we go like to the store for a couple hours, okay, maybe like overnight. In the morning, the leaves will be dry, like completely dry. So that's what's happening there. That's why I recommend having a kind of base that you leave behind. That also means that the flavor that's on the bottom will help boost the next infusion. So you see what happened there? I put water in here, and so it's just fresh water. If I drink that now, it's going to taste really light because I just put the water in. But if I put water in this guy, there's flavor in there already, right? You can even see the color of the tea. This guy is white. No flavor here, flavor here. That flavor is going to be our base so that when we put more water in, guess what? Buddy Boy still has flavor, okay? And that also means that when you're dealing with bowl brew tea and you forget about your bowl brew for couple minutes, couple hours, right? Maybe even longer. I do that a lot. You can always just put a frick ton of water back into the vessel to water it down. I've been known to leave bowl brew like overnight, maybe longer. And here in Vegas, you know, things keep pretty well. If something was brewing overnight and it's in my bowl, it's going to be really, really cold. It's going to be a little bit drying. I can bring it back to life just by putting hot water back into it and diluting it to the right level. So you can actually kind of customize what your flavor profile is going to be based on the kind of tea that you're wanting to get. You want really, really strong tea? Don't put too much water. Do you want lighter tea? You can put more water. If that makes sense. So if you have any questions, let me know about bowl brewing. It doesn't have to be a bowl. You can call it grandpa style if you want. And I think out of this kind of lineup, my favorite one was definitely the wood-fired bowl. By far. And then these guys. So tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. I didn't like these at all whatsoever. Not good. Not to say that I wouldn't. Like if someone is like, Ree, it's the end of the world. You only have these 3 left. I'm like, cool. I'm glad I have tea. So Shiloh from Nuevo Orden, just check my notes. Exotique uses fishbone china with the best performing china. Having shark tooth meal in the china? Oh my god. See, I was telling you it was going to be something really fancy. Right. I thought it was sturgeon, but shark tooth is even more badass. How is that possible? Where do you get that?
It would be.
I really like porcelain, so I'm a big porcelain fan. And my bone china that I have, I don't know what animal the ash is from, but that Gaiwan performs like amazing. I don't have it right now because Steven is repairing a chip on the lid, but it's leaps and bounds better than any other porcelain. So that's interesting, and I'd like to see where to get that. So I'm curious. Anyway, any questions that you guys have about this, let me know. It's super easy, super simple, super low maintenance. Just pick the right tea. Probably, pick good water. And then pick something that you like to kind of like hold and is comfortable. So this one's my favorite for at home, and this one's my favorite for hanging around. Okay. Thank you so much for joining us today. We'll see you on Discord.